Hi, Norman.
Hey, good afternoon.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Rob?
Good. Thanks for sending that thing over. It's awesome.
Oh, for sure. Glad. My pleasure.
What time is it? Like, we'll just wait for another minute or so. And
Okay.
yeah, this is good. I really appreciate you joining again.
Yeah, it's been fun so far, and I actually did have some insights that I didn't expect, so this will be good.
That's good. That's what we like to hear. Perfect. Well, I'll get started here.
Okay.
So welcome. So we're gonna focus on what we did the first 2 days, and then today is really about going through the op what we call the opportunity accelerator. So this is like 27 years of battle-tested sales strategy. So it's basically going through an opportunity and figuring out what do we need to ask this customer to know where we're at.
Yeah.
And so this is the stuff I used to do when I was a seller and a sales manager. So when I became a sales manager, my job was to try to make sure that the salesperson I'm managing, if they have an opportunity, that it closes. And so we could have a predictable pipeline and they got my help to sell, right? And so I created this tool because I wanted to be able, like, I can't be on every person's sales call. I can't manage everybody. So I tried to bottle what I do and put it into a tool that anyone could use. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so I don't normally show it and talk about it live like this. It's normally inside of my paid course, paid material.
Yeah.
But, I wanted to start showing people the power of it so they can really see if they do want to work with me one day, what it would be like. So that's
Yeah.
what today's for. I'm excited about it.
That's awesome.
All right, let me know. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can save your sales career. Yep.
Okay, great. Let me get going here. So what we're going to do is we're going to so this is all about the opportunity accelerator. Just a very fast recap. So day one, we talked about the hidden sales killer. And day two, we communicated about the opportunity. Oh, sorry, day two, we talked about the opportunity accelerator and we asked you to fill it in. Today, we're going to review it and talk about the program. Okay, so again, a lot of sales things are getting lost. We talked about that on day one. 53% of all sales opportunities are lost today, according to the Ring Group. So that needs to change. We talked about a lot of companies where they spend their time is they dig into sales skills. They'll hire a sales training company, they go read a sales book or whatever. They might invest in some tools, CRM systems, marketing automation systems, maybe look at their process. They might even change the sales team. They'll bring in different people, that type of stuff. The part that not companies do a lot of, I find, is helping their sellers with mindset. People have gone out on their own to try to help, but a lot of companies don't do that yet anyway. So my mission is to change that, is to help people, sellers, with their mindset using the program that I have so that they have a very stable foundation so that if they do go and read the sales books, they're putting that on top of a very strong foundation. And that's my core philosophy
Yeah.
of and why I left corporate world to do this, what I'm doing. So we talked about we have a specific outcome that we're trying to achieve. And when we let our thoughts get in the way or some identities that don't serve us, we don't end up at the goal we want. We get distracted, and that's what that picture is trying to show. It's showing that when we think something other than the outcome we want, we tend to lean that way. You know when you're taking your driver's test when you're a teenager, and the driving instructor says, you need to have both hands on the wheel, right? One here, one here, and you need to look where you want to go, right? So if you look in the ditch because there's something really cool going on over there, you're going to end up in the ditch. And so it's the same type of thing. So not just where you look, but where you're thinking, what you're thinking actually delivers you to the place that you'll end up. And so what happens to us is we have all these paths we end up going around. And so the whole point of doing manifestation mindset work is to clearly identify where we're going and work at making sure the thoughts and identities that we have don't get in the way. That's really what it's all about. And so when you don't do that, you end up in this thing called a death spiral. So your thoughts kind of betray you, that prevents you doing the actions that you really should be doing, and then your results don't end up being what you're being. So that's what we talked about day one. Day two, we said, we moved more in. Well, I guess the day one we just finished this. So the calm piece is what we talked about. My program's called Calm, and it's what I do to help people. And when you apply the mindset principles, it allows you to truly step into um, the higher performance. And we talked about NFL football players and golfers, stuff like that. Okay, so then we said, go away, do this homework, which you did. Thank you. And we came back, we reviewed that. And then yesterday we talked about how the Opportunity Accelerator helps with sales skills and sales tools, sales process. And then we showed a little bit about what the sales accelerator, Opportunity Accelerator looks like. And then we sent out his homework, and you actually did your homework. And then here we are. Did I miss anything?
No, that's a good recap.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna switch gears. Hey Dirk, I'm gonna switch gears and I'm gonna show you your. Okay, so I deleted the name of the company off your form
Okay.
because again, this is recorded.
That was my company. So, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I didn't know if you were asking the client or mine. And I knew this was recorded, so I figured it maybe it was my company. So, yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
Yeah, so I deleted it. I can put it back in if you
No,
like.
it doesn't matter. It's all good. Or I'll take the free pub.
So can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I just put confidential in there.
Fair
And
enough.
all right, so what we've done is we've said, okay, fill this in. So I'm going to go through it. I'm going to ask you to elaborate in key areas.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot here. This is really good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the opportunity genie outcome, right?
Okay.
What the
All right.
opportunity, sorry, I used to call it the opportunity genie. Now I'm calling it the opportunity accelerator. So I got to
Yeah, switch gears.
the opportunity accelerator. All right. So the business that you're talking about is a business advisory services.
No, that was me. So this is a an IT company. So they do IT services,
Okay.
application development, and AI transformation implementation.
Okay. And so the opportunity that you're talking about is a $25,000 project for phase one. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
And then phase two could be another, is that an additional 25 to 50,000?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
That's good. Nice size deal. Target close date December 2nd. So that's coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Really good. And so why is this a must-win for you right now? So you've put, I'm in the process of building high-profile use cases that demonstrate the breadth and depth of my firm's advisory and executional capacity. More importantly, the significant impact. This would be a great example. So you've gone through and added these pieces. Do you want to walk us through that?
Yeah. What do you want me to, are you going to go piece by piece or where do you want me to start
Yeah,
or
just kind of
which?
elaborate each point. So what do you mean? Like,
Okay.
what do you mean by this?
Okay. The client prospect has pretty much, one of the same issues. So when you do anything that has vision to it, or it's holistic, or you kind of have a mastery approach, sometimes the way that you communicate and see their problems or solutions can be a lot more or different than other people see it. So it always helps to have especially in these cases, use cases that help different people say, oh, wow, that's what this looks like. That's how this could look like for me.
Hmm,
That's how he applies, or the company, he or she or the company applies what they're saying to different situations. And then also just, social proof, right? That always speaks volumes. So that would be the main idea there.
okay. The business impact, or sorry, the business problem and the impact. So what business problem are they trying to solve? So jet airplane wants to climb altitude, but running on one engine. So low pipeline velocity is their current business pain point, right?
Right. And so essentially, the concept is there are two value engines. Your sales in a general sense, in whatever the funnels and products and services are underneath that, those are your value engines, and then your fulfillment and how you fulfill that. Those are the two main things at the end of the day that drive the business. And so in this case, they have the track record, they have like around about probably 100 people that work in the company. They've done a lot really, really well.
Okay.
What they're missing, is that true sales value engine and process driven. So that's kind of what that analogy means.
Okay. Perfect. And then, uh, okay. So the sales velocity then. So they have opportunities, but are they stalling in the sales cycle? They're going along and they're stalling?
Um, They need more. Again, everything to this point has been organic and referral driven. So they don't have a way to say, I want the company to go to here, and this is how we're going to do that, right? They're just, taking what comes. Well, that also leads into when you don't know, where the next meal is coming from, so to speak. Now you're hyper focused on this particular opportunity, and you'll tend to, price yourself, lower or leave value on the table when you could be a little bit more assertive and and really give each opportunity its just due, if you have a way of getting more. So that is the
Yeah.
really the main core problem.
So you said the close date's December 2nd. Are you feeling
Yeah.
pretty confident that you're going to close this?
um with other than well, this is where one of the blind spots that I certainly realized. One of them was I mean, it was the one. I realized that, like, I was kind of, if you'd asked me before I got to that question where you rate how confident you are, I would have said 10,
Mm.
10, 10, 10, right? And then I
Right.
realized, I noticed that pattern of the example that I gave, the first day or maybe the second day, but I realized, like, okay, by default, I'm a little bit too optimistic about this, just like, I was in a previous situation. So I really paid attention to the risk questions and, what could cause it not to go through. And that's where, the things that I think I really need to address really came to light for me.
Yeah.
And then, but on the other hand, I realized the magnitude and impact of what this really could be for his company in terms of revenue, and what that really means for what he's expressed for how he wants the company to go forward in the future. And that's where I realized, okay, he's beyond this kind of an agency solution. This is something that you would typically look at a, high profile consulting firm to come in and do.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to make sure that I, put that foot forward and give the solution its just due as well. So that's where, your process really, kind of showed me. So I'm excited to see what the accelerator questions, will help to uncover.
Yeah. So when I got to this one here, so this is common. So when people say why are they talking to you and to your company specifically? So
Yeah.
do you know much about your competitors?
Yes and no. Um,
Because my next question
I
then
do
is,
like on the like, I can point out some, again, larger consulting firms. I could say, yeah, these people
yeah,
on a more of a small to mid-market level, no.
okay. Yeah, because when I read these, they sound like something any competitor could say, right?
Yeah.
And I know you're just filling in a form quickly, probably for me to look at for today. But if
Yeah.
we like if so, let's pretend I'm your sales
Yeah,
manager.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I'm going to go through this. So what I'm
Okay.
looking for is I'm putting myself in the customer's shoes and I'm
Yeah.
thinking about who else could I have come in and help us with this?
Yeah.
And why would I pick this company?
Yeah.
So when it comes to these types of questions, what we're looking for, and I know this is going to sound like very basic things, but it's the
Yeah.
basic things implemented are what makes a big difference. And what I find of managing salespeople for years and years and years is what we do is we kind of do almost the minimum we need to do to win business. You know why? Because we're 50% of the deals we run after don't close.
Yeah.
Where if we would have cut out half of that and just focused on the ones we could win, we would actually spend the amount of time and do the things to actually win them. So that's why it's so important to have a barometer to know where you are. So what you want is you want these kinds of things, why your company, like why your company, why are they talking to you?
Yeah.
This is where you want your competitive advantage. This is where you want to create some kind of an experience that the customer is having working with you that
Yeah.
differentiates you from everybody else.
Yeah.
So those are
So, well, let me ask you this, because I mean, I would say I have that, but
okay.
just to kind of push back on, not push back, but I guess to give you, empty my cup so so you understand my perspective, then it helps me really absorb what you're saying.
Perfect.
Um, I would argue that, they talk about the triangle, like you can't get, if you get something fast, then you have to give up quality or,
Yeah.
or price or whatever. I would argue that in a package, what I'm saying, I probably didn't communicate it very well or specifically, but what I'm saying there is hard to do. and not
Yeah.
easily replicatable. And it's hard to go somewhere and just like find all of that and say, yeah, and I don't care at what level, but to get the kind of the strategic, the execution, and actually have it work.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm arguing there, but
Yeah.
clearly there's
I
holes in
hear you.
that.
Well, I
Yeah, okay,
think the
okay.
triangle is you can have fast and so you can have fast and you can have cheap, but you can't
Right.
have good,
Have
right?
exactly.
So
Right.
fast and cheap can't have you can't have all three. You can have
Right.
two. And
Right.
in any way you look
Right.
at the triangle, you can always have two things, but you
Yeah.
can't have all three. So if you want cheap, then you can't have good.
Right, right,
You
right,
still
right,
have
right,
fast and
right,
cheap.
right. That's true. That's
So
true. That's true.
fast, cheap,
So
good.
okay, okay. So then I am trying to argue fast and good. So yeah, that is not clear. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, because fast and
I
good is hard to do. Now, fast and good could
exactly.
happen if you've got a
Yes.
productized version of what you do,
That now we're talking. Yeah.
right? So if you're in
Yeah.
consulting, and Dirk knows this from we've got a history before, right? But when you're doing consulting, you need to provide very knowledgeable resources to go in and do proper consulting,
That's
right?
correct.
So good costs money. So you can't have
That's
cheap and
correct.
good
That's
under that
correct. That's
conditions.
correct. That's
Now, what
correct.
if you've done this 100 times before for that industry, though, and you already know what they should have? You could package it. So now you
Right.
could have fast and good. So
And
you could
good.
actually have a fast,
Right.
good, and
That's
cheap.
right. Right.
And
But to your point, I mean, what I did not obviously communicate here was the fast and good combination, and that, that's essentially what I was trying to say there. So yes, I did not make that clear.
that's good. Okay, where do you believe they see the most value in your solution? I believe the founder is beyond agency solutions. For the outcome he seeks, although agencies could be involved, he needs an executive level consultation solution. Company positioning, sales process and team, growth, company maturity. Okay, good. Buying team. Who is involved in this decision? List the names and roles. So the founder, who signs the contract? The founder. Are you presenting to the founder all the time and talking to
Yes.
the founder? Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
perfect. So let me stop there for a second. So you're already
Yeah.
doing that. There's a lot of times sellers aren't.
Yeah.
Right? They're dealing with the influencer. They're not actually dealing with the actual person going to sign
Yeah.
the check.
Yeah.
And in some cases that can be difficult, but if you can, you want to be dealing with the person that makes the ultimate decision. You want to know who's making the decision. Are there influencers to the founder? Founders typically count on someone. They have a right-hand person or
Right.
something. So if there's someone around like that, you want to make sure that they're involved in your meetings too.
Yeah.
So that because if they go, hey, George, what do you think we should do here? If George wasn't in your
Right.
meetings, then he,
Right.
oh, I think we should use that other company that I introduced to you.
Right, right, right. And that's where I guess who that other person would be. I do know that and that's basically kind of like a outsourced CR chief revenue officer that has a better, more personal relationship is kind of how to look at that particular individual. So there is an expressed desire, not for that person to go away at all, but to truly have a more internal operation driven sales process happen. That being said, this person still most likely does, yes, have some influence.
Okay, good. All right. Current stage commitments. What stage would you say this deal is at today? So, formal discovery, delivery, and proposal. So, have you presented the proposal already?
That's what I'll do next week.
Okay. And do you know if they're reviewing any other proposals from anybody else?
Well, no, these are like some of the questions because when I talk about where I think, some of the risks are, these are some of the things that I'll uncover, and not necessarily from, you know, again, who if they're getting a proposal from anyone else, because when you start getting to the consulting space, like people do things very differently, so it's hard to maybe compare apples to apples in all situations. What would be really helpful though to that point is to know how he's conceptualizing the problem and the solution. So, is he seeing this as a sales problem, more of a brand problem? Was his current solution more, I was looking for a consultant, or I was looking for an agency to help me with this or that, or I was, whatever that may be. And that helps to just at least know where we're starting from, and I can carry on the interaction from there.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so that's the biggest thing is when you're preparing to present a proposal, you almost already want to know how they're going to
Yep.
rate you.
Yep.
When you do RFP responses and they give you like a rate card that not
Yeah.
a rate card, but
A rubric.
rubric that says this is how you're going to be scored. So price is going to be 20% and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
almost want to have that in your own mind for
Yeah.
every sales opportunity. How are you going to measure who you pick?
Yeah.
And you have those conversations.
Yeah.
Okay, next meeting. What concrete commitments did they make? So the next meeting is good. Risk and reality check. What are the top three reasons you could lose this deal, including stay with the status quo? Status quo. Um, Probability of success. I didn't create enough gap between problem and value. So is it just keep going along with their problem? Is
So
that an
I'm
option for
saying
them?
if that always is, if that is an option that he chooses, that would be the reason why, because I didn't do those things.
Yeah, so what happens in solution selling sometimes is when we don't do enough of the pain gathering at the beginning.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of the sales cycle, you want to get to the point where you're really discussing the business pain points that are in place today and why they're even considering doing something.
Yeah.
And then you want to take those pain points and make sure that you've got them all. And then what's the impact of not solving
Yeah.
those? You actually
Yep.
ask that.
Yep.
Now, most people in sales don't spend a lot of time doing this because they start to feel uncomfortable. They're asking too many questions. And so if you can put the uncomfortableness away and just what I normally recommend to people is you can say something like this, Mr. Customer, if I was a doctor and you had something wrong, you've got a sore elbow, and you came to me and you're a little bit cautious in sharing everything that's happened, and I start asking you questions about your elbow, if you don't answer me honestly and openly, I can't diagnose you well. So, what I'm going to do is I've got about 10 questions I want to ask you. Please, I need you to answer as honest as you possibly can, and then I can do one of two things. Tell you that I can't help you, or tell you I can help you, and this is exactly how. So by doing that, we're really clearly communicating. Are you prepared to do that with me today? And they'll say, if they say no, I don't think everyone ever says no, but if they say no, then they're not really working with you, right? They're just there to get another quote. They're probably working with someone else. They're not that serious. There's all kinds of reasons why they won't. So if they ever do say no, which is rare, but if they do, then you know you're not dealing with the right people. If they say yes, it opens the door now for you to let go of any hesitation to ask what you want to ask. And then you literally just ask your questions. So what I find is because sellers don't do enough of that up front, what happens is the sales cycle elongates, right? Because if there's not a big enough compelling reason for them to take action, they can delay, look at someone else. And I'm a big believer that the more time you allow to happen in the sales cycle, the lower the probability of winning goes, right? So if we can do things quickly and move a sales cycle quickly, uncover the business pain, talk about the implication of not solving the business pain, and get them to commit that they're ready and willing to do whatever it takes to solve this problem. What happens is one of two things. And even if they're looking at other people, if you start asking questions like that, guess what your competitor's not doing? They're not asking that. So the experience the customer has is one of, wow, like this person's very interested in my business. Like those are great questions.
Yep.
And I used to have a sales manager once. He says, you have two ears and one mouth. Use them in that
Yep.
proportion, but when you open
Yep.
your mouth, ask questions. So that was years and
I
years
like
ago,
that.
but it works. Okay, so let's keep going. I've gone through this and I've tried to answer my 50 question version of the opportunity accelerator. So I actually have a
Yep.
score I'm going to show you in a minute
Okay.
of
Okay.
what I think your score is. But I'm trying to validate my understanding of this to see if I have to go
Okay.
back and change any of my answers.
Okay.
Okay, strategy and next move. So, what is your current strategy to win the deal? So, qualify and quantify business impact, clear ID and condense statements of the problem, present a clear path, actionable steps, PRISM. So, is that an acronym that you use?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's basically I'm just kind of contextualizing what is happening here. But yeah, that's the first part. Basically, it's positioning, and relationships. What how you what's that's based off of. What's the value you offer? Identity, strategy, messaging.
Hey, so to me, this sounds like there's a lot of stuff to do still. in the sales cycle. So why do
Yeah.
you think December 2nd is the close date?
Um, well, I guess I'm interested in hear what all you still think is necessary, but I think that I have a very clear understanding of what the problem is, stages, what needs to be done in what stages, and another, so that, yeah, that's why. I mean, like, I mean, you either do it or you don't.
This is good. So what I would do is I would ask the customer, I would say, when do you plan on moving forward with a decision?
Right.
Right? And after your meeting, I would say something like, now that we've had this meeting, how likely are you? Have I moved you closer to saying yes to me, or have I moved you further away from saying yes to me? So
Yeah.
I quite often ask that question because it's
Yeah.
easy to answer that. And
Yeah.
so I would ask them what they're doing, like when
Okay.
they're making their decision and how
Yeah.
close they are to
Yeah.
choosing you.
Yeah.
What is the single most important next step you're planning to take? So send meeting anticipation, sales email, letter to frame the next interaction. So what is that? So you're sending an email to set
So
expectation?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think to basically address some of the things that, I mean, exactly what we've just mentioned, just to communicate that from our first under call, that I have in fact understand what the problems are and the scope of what needs to happen.
Okay.
But also, just, starting the real, at least highlighting some of the mechanics of what we're going to go through and how it works.
Okay. What will you say or do in the next step to create movement and commitment, not just another nice conversation? So, if performed correctly, he asked me. If not, I'll ask using my closing series of questions that either convict or uncover. Is that convert? Convert, or did you mean convict?
Uncover, yeah,
Yeah.
either convict, which will means that like they're
Okay.
convicting, which they will end up converting, or uncover why they're not. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Mindset and scan. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you will close the opportunity? 8. Must ensure alignment. So I'll show you what I think in a minute.
All
And
right.
this makes me feel like I'm a sales manager.
This
Hey,
is
can I get
fine.
10% commission if we win this deal?
Hey, we'll have to talk about the value exchange. We're gonna make
Um,
this first a rock star video first.
that's awesome. Okay, what doubts, fears, or second guessing come up when you think about this deal? The process helped me uncover and address. Okay, where do you feel yourself holding back? Believe it or not, I was not yet recognizing the scope and magnitude and impact of undervaluing this solution. Yeah, okay, so I love I'm glad you put that word McKinsey in there. There's a massive shift happening right now, as you know, right?
Yeah,
Massive.
yeah.
Like, as far I wouldn't want to work at McKinsey. Nothing against McKinsey. This video is going
Yeah.
out there. I can't say that. But I'm telling you, things are changing. And
Yeah.
like I worked with a company a year ago that they do a lot of consulting, and they're like almost like a Lean Six Sigma lean consulting firm. So they
Yeah.
go in and because I bought a bunch of templates from them, consulting templates,
Yeah.
because I do some consulting too. And so you go in, you extract exactly what you need, you make a recommendation for what you need, what you
Right.
recommend they do, and you're done. It doesn't need to cost $600,000 and have 300-page report,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
Right.
And so
Right.
the old
Right.
days of consulting, things are shifting fast. So
Yeah.
why I'm saying that is for the smaller consulting firms who are more nimble,
Yeah.
you can get in, you
Yeah.
can just get the business to go and be
Yeah.
nimble and come back out, especially
Yeah.
with all the AI tools now, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
actually have a assessment I have the customer fill in, and I literally dump that into my chat GPT
Yep.
agent that I've created,
Yeah.
and it actually digests it and spits back what I want. Now I'm the expert, so
You're
I know
curating it.
what
You're
I'm looking
curating
for,
it. Yeah.
right? Just like you. And I look at it and go, okay, tweak this. But what used to take me a day, I can
Yes.
probably do in 2 hours now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, so
Yes.
awesome. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm taking a little bit of a
Yeah.
sidebar there, but
I
I
totally
think it's
agree. I love it. Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'll show you so what I'm going to show you is the 50 question opportunity genie. and it's a spreadsheet where I go through and a question is either yes, I have that, or
Hmm.
no, I don't. So
Hmm.
based
Hmm.
on this, I went through and quickly
Hmm.
went through it.
Hmm.
Now, not everything's here, so I had to make some assumptions, but
Yep.
it's going to give me a pretty good score.
Ah.
So I'll show you quick what it looks like. Where did I put it? Okay, here it is. So I'll move it over to that screen so you can see it. So this is the actual spreadsheet that we have in our tool in our course. So I'll show you parts of it because I don't like showing everything on the video. So it's got a question. So do you know the customer's primary challenges and pain points? And if you do, I would give you the weighted score. In this case, it's worth 4 points in the win column or in the lose. So if I think you've got it, I'd put four here. If I think you
Okay.
don't got it, I'd put four there.
Okay.
So I'm going to go fast now so no one can see it. But I go all the way down and I've done all that. And so I've answered the all the questions, and what
Okay.
it's come out for you is I've got a total of 90 points in the you're going to win this deal column
Awesome.
and 60 points in the
And
you're
you're
not going to
not
win
gonna
this
win.
column.
Okay. Okay. And
So,
so that's do the math on that. That's probably about 65, and I was at 80%. So yeah, I got a gap there.
well, if you look at this, this will tell you what's going on. So if you've got
Okay.
between 1 and 80 points, you're
Yeah.
probably not going to win, and I would recommend you either walk away from it or go back and try to answer some questions.
Yeah.
So when I first did this, I had about 120 score. And I went back and I said, no, I don't think it's that high. So I went back and cut and adjusted a bit. So I'm on the lower end of what your score is. You're probably closer to 100, I'd say.
Yeah.
So if you're between 80 and 130, what you should do is don't give up on the opportunity, but go back to the questions that you've answered. You're not going to win,
Yeah.
and go do that activity to get it
Yeah.
to a win. Kind of like what
Yeah.
we just were
Yeah.
going through a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Makes
And
total
then
sense.
if you're between 130 and 150, you've got enough to go close the deal, right? If you want
Yeah.
to really be sure, if you're not at 150, I'd go back to the ones that are still not in the win column and go back and do
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's how the opportunity accelerator works. And so I think you're in fairly good shape.
Yeah.
I think you're assuming a little bit too much though.
Yep.
I think you're
That's right.
hoping a little bit too much in
Yeah.
this. And what I recommend is go back and just strip away any sense of not wanting to ask the questions you need to ask. Like you've got a great service. I'm sure you've got a great track record. Just go in there with no filters and go in there, like I said, with the doctor. Say, look, I've got a series of questions I need to ask you. And if we get through this in an honest way, I'll know how best I can help you. You're prepared to do that. And
Yeah.
then they'll say yes. And then just be prepared with your questions, like a good consultant is, and then go in and ask your questions.
Yeah.
And then find out who else they're considering. Because if you are up against a larger firm, you'd like to know that so that you can share why you.
Yeah.
And then you want to create what I call a win theme. That was one of the negative things I had on the spreadsheet. So a win theme is when you take a look at the whole situation. What is your strategy to win that deal? And I'll give you an example of what some win themes can be. So I had a sales cycle once that was a retail customer. And I was asked to come in and meet with the president of the company to give them advice on what they should do to solve two main problems they had. So the first problem was they were a camera retailer, so they sell cameras and everything camera related. So their biggest problem was people were coming to the physical retail store, brick and mortar store, and then they would get the advice from their highly educated and trained floor people that were most of them were photographers also.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they'd get product recommendations, and guess
Yep.
what they would do?
We go shop
Go
somewhere
home on
else.
Amazon.
Yep. Yep.
Right? And they'd buy on Amazon. So that was
Yep.
their biggest challenge. So when we looked at it, the challenge that we uncovered was they had two different data. They had a database that tracked their store purchases in retail, and they had a database that tracked the purchases that were done online. And those two systems didn't talk to each other. So now they didn't know if you were a customer in the store or if you were a
Right.
customer
Customer.
online. Uh,
Yeah.
um, so anyway, long story short, I took my experience of going into the store and kind of rating them, and I incorporated that into my sales cycle. So part of my win theme was I'm gonna go on the floor and understand the experience one of their customer has related to the problem that they told me they have. So when I came back, I built a whole presentation about what my experience was on the floor and how they weren't using purchase history to
Yeah.
know me. They
Yeah.
weren't they didn't ask who I was, right? I told them I was there to pick a new camera. I have a Nikon D70, which is an old digital SLR that I actually bought at that store before. And I said, I'm looking for a new one, and I want to tell my wife what it is for a birthday gift. So I told them all this stuff. So they went through the whole process of figuring out which one I should buy. They told me which camera I should buy, and they let me leave. So my recommendation was they should have a system, even on iPad or something. They pull up my record because I'm a past customer actually, right? And if I'm not a past customer, open a new record and quickly add information. I'm a Nikon guy, not a Canon guy, all this stuff.
Right.
And then when I'm done, rather than just saying, okay, see ya,
Send me
ask for my wife's
recommendations.
email address
Yeah.
and ask if they can email my wife the
Yep.
camera that I want for Christmas. Because I would have said yes. Anyway, I so my point is if you can uncover some things about their company, if you can get extremely curious about their business, and if you can
So I
demonstrate that,
Yeah, I do. I guess I didn't come out here in the form, but in their case, well, I think it is there. It is, one of it is, you mentioned this and actually in this whole process because it's kind of the same. We're dealing with the founder and how the psychology like filters down through the company. And so he is a more of an introvert. He's a tech person. And networking would be the place where he's expressed like, like he's great if he's already interacting with someone, but actually generating that curiosity, starting these conversations is where, that's the problem and what he wants to be able to solve. So like that's why there's no outbound and outreach. That's why there's no real, sales process and so forth. I think, that and then also again being able to communicate a complex ideas and solutions in ways that their prospects can absorb that and then be and generate interest and curiosity.
okay,
So like that's the real like root of everything. All the other stuff is what's the answer from that, what the assets we have, and then putting a process in place.
okay. No, that sounds great. It sounds like the kind of work I do, actually, a part of it. Like anything to do
Well,
with process is what I do.
I was thinking about you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Anyway, so if we were doing this in a real call and
Yeah,
we would actually go into that opportunity accelerator and we would fill it
yeah,
in, right?
yeah,
The only
totally.
reason why I don't do it in a public way like this is
Yeah,
because that is so much IP in there
yeah.
and I reserve it for paid customers to go through that. That's what I do.
Well, one thing that I guess I totally wanted to, to leave here that I can see now actually going through the whole process, like really connecting like the spaghetti mind to which you even said it yourself, like you can think it's hokey at first, and I didn't, but I can see how someone could think that, but then all the way down to the specificity of actual questions to ask and uncover for different stages or reasons.
Yeah.
And I could also like, you know, I identify what my blind spot was, but I'm now really like familiar with like how my mind felt thinking about, what the solution would be, what's the, what do I put in the proposal and how do I pitch it? How do I do this? Like all the stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what he means. I went through, the homework and that's where again, I was able to identify blind spots. I was able to identify where I was being assumptive. I really reflected on, what might cause me to lose the deal. That actually brought to light, here's the things that I need to do. You're telling me what I need to ask. That is totally a much more calming feeling. And it does feel a lot more like literally just a guided interaction more than like a sales process. Like it just
Yeah.
so like the calm approach, which is what your methodology is, like it does feel calm.
That's awesome.
So like I've been able to see the whole process work, and it does. I can tell.
Do you know how happy you just made me by saying that? like you got to realize, so I've been doing this for 27 years. So the year my son was born is the year I went into sales from service, and he's 27 years old now. And so I've been through all the hard selling stuff at Xerox, and I went and worked for all different companies. And what I valued the most is I even went and got my coaching certification so I could coach my sales people who work for me. And I'll share some slides in a minute, but I got to the point where everybody wanted to work for me. And I, because they didn't want a sales manager that's just going to yell at them and say,
Yeah,
"Where's your deals?" Right? Like they all
yeah,
do. They wanted someone to help them.
yeah,
So I was working for a tech company up until February-ish of this year. And I had said, you know what? I'm going to take this model and I'm just going to go and do this full time. Because when you work for a company, there's a lot of other things you have to do.
yeah,
And you don't get to do this. So I said,
yeah,
all I'm going to do every day of my life is help salespeople be more successful. And I'm going to teach them the method that I've used that works. And I'm going to build a program that I can count on. So I've got a group that's gone through it now. And so here, let me go through these slides because it'll
yeah.
walk you through it. Right. So I'm going to say all this because we're posting the video, right? Even though I'm really
Sure,
talking to you,
absolutely.
but
Yeah, yeah.
but it's like this, right? So, and you just said it. So, sales can be a very stressful place. And if you don't feel supported and get help, then it's even worse. And then you're thinking, what sales training should I go do? As if it's magic, right? And I had that triangle that shows the training and all that kind of stuff. And I've done all that. Like I've been trained by some of the best training companies in the world over the years. Like one company I was at, they spent $100,000 on sales training. And it was a small company. It was only seven salespeople. $100,000, right? So there's a lot of really good sales training out there, but training by itself, I have found isn't enough. And so that's why I focused on mindset work and the power of positive thinking, or whatever you want to call it, all that stuff. But there's a structure to it, and there's loosey-goosey things that don't work, and then there's a way to apply it that does work, and that's what I'm doing. And so the people who I work with, this is how they feel. So what I do is I created an eight week program. So it's basically a video of me and a workbook exercise you go through once a week. And it takes about 2 hours of your time per week. So an hour for the workbook and the video. And then I have a weekly group call. So every Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern, we get on a group call and people bring like what we just did, but with the real genie. So you get the genie, you go away, you fill it in, you come back. And we as a group, we help you harden your chances of winning that opportunity. We share, look, I'm preparing for a meeting and these scripts running in my mind are making me feel very uncomfortable. I don't feel prepared. And then we had one 2 weeks ago, we had somebody say that, say something like that. And I didn't even say a word. Like everyone on the group was helping each other, right? Because we're all students of this now. And I just sat back and thought, wow, like this is like exactly what I wanted. So then what we did is that we said, okay, we've got our program as a certified badged program on LinkedIn. So once you do, it's an 8 week program. I ask you to do it twice. So it's 16 total weeks and there's 16 coaching calls. And then we work through that. When you're done, you get a badge of completion and that you can put on your LinkedIn profile. And we're just applying now for a certified version of that. So you'll go through an exam, you'll finish that, and you'll be certified. So this is what people are saying so far. So this is Ronald. So he said, and he's a chief revenue officer. So the program helped me get grounded as a CRO. It clarified what truly matters in leading my team and gave me the mindset to simply focus and stay consistent. The Opportunity Accelerator work has especially helped me identify the right opportunities and stay aligned. So he told me when I first introduced the Opportunity Accelerator to him, he went through all of his team's pipeline and he had to take half of it out because it wasn't real. And the owners went crazy. They were really scared. But then they started working and putting real opportunities back in. So he said, we went from being scared and they were angry at me to here we are, right? And so the team has gone from worried, oh my God, where'd all my opportunities go? to now they're working on real opportunities. So that's some feedback from him. So Adrian, in week number one, we talk about money and people's opinion of money, and we call it the money weakness. And so Adrian was having a hard time telling a customer how much something was going to cost without discounting it or feeling like he should discount it. And he didn't. And the customer never brought up price, and he was able to keep his price high. And that was after week one. Uh, Eric likes to write a lot, so this is what Eric put. I love Eric. So, he and I have worked together for a while, actually. Eric was my personal trainer years ago at a gym, and I helped him come from that and get into tech sales. And he's one of the top tech sellers now in our industry. And then last but not least, Pranav. So Pranav also, he came and joined me where I used to work because he wanted my help. He knew I was a coaching sales manager, and he said, we worked together for a couple of years, and I didn't spend the time to work with you. Now that you're going off to go do this, I can't wait to sign up for your program. So he did. And so now I just get to help him. So anyway, I wanted to share those stories because these are stories of real people that are going through the program. And I don't want to make these 3 days anything about a hard sale on the program, but if if you're interested, we can jump on a free call. I can really understand your specific situation to see if it's even an option or if it makes sense. And just by you sharing what you shared, I already do know it does. But I'd love to talk to you to see if you're interested in it. And if you're not, that's okay too. And you know who I am. You can consume my free content as well. So that's
Absolutely. I
really
look
the next
forward to
step
it.
for me. And that's it. That's the 3 days. So what you hope when you do these kinds of things is the last one we did it differently. We didn't do this 3 day model.
Yeah.
We had 108 people register it. I think we had 10 people show up, right? And
Yeah.
this one we had a ton of people register, same thing, and you only get a handful of people show up because we get
Yeah.
busy. So the
Yeah.
recordings are where these things really matter. So that's
Yeah.
why I want to make sure everyone's okay with recordings. This is how I advertise what I do. So if you're open to it, I'd love to schedule a one-on-one call with you to really understand
Yeah.
what you're doing. And then if
Yeah.
it is an option for you to join our program, that would be awesome. And if not, at least you know someone out here that really has your interest at heart, and maybe I can help you through more free content, things like that.
Well,
All
no,
right.
yeah, I love to. I look forward to the to the experience, and I think there I can already see and experience what the experience has to offer.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
so yeah, I look forward to it. It's been a pleasure. I'll definitely look forward to talking to you. Yeah, I'll set the time here when we get off. I'll let us wrap up here.
all right. Thank you. And
Yeah.
thanks again, Dirk, for joining. Good to see you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, and
Yeah,
always
Derek.
love to hear how to do better. So perfect. Thank you.
All right. Take
Yeah, yeah,
care.
for sure. Okay,
All
bye
right.
for now,
Take care.
guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.